Okay. Arjuna is not there. Prahlad?
Yes, I would like to discuss the presentation.
This is Laltangi Mataji's Prahlad, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to do Sunday presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a date on October 31st, I think. Is that 31st is empty. Do you want to do 31st?
31st October?
October, yes. 1 second, let me check the date. 1 second. It's my phone one.
Mata, I can do it. October's a Halloween.
See, October 24th is booked. Yeah, October 31st is remaining. You want to go?
Okay.
Will you remember and tell your mom or you'll forget?
Yeah, I'll tell my mom.
Okay, and confirm me, okay? Confirm me from your mom's side. Okay. So, can anybody start the prayers for me? Samskruti, please go ahead.
Om Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Shri Gurave Namaha.
Namo Krishna-padaya Krishna-padaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudagani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Tishatarine
Shunyavadi
Chaitanya
Tashatarine
Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Radhika, Kasturi, Mataji. Welcome, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Please take over, Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Kids, are you all ready for the class?
Yes, Mataji.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay?
Yes,
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, you can hear me, right? No problem. Okay, let me open the PowerPoint and I'll share my screen with you. Just give me a minute. Yes, I got it. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you all see the PowerPoint here?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, let me quickly do my prayers and get started. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyayata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, kids, thank you so much. So, Bhishma Deva is instructing Yudhishthira at his deathbed. This is what we are seeing. And let's just go through this quickly. Chapter 9 begins with Sutta Goswami narrating to the sages of who? Naimisharanya, and they are headed by Saunakadi Rishis. It is about Yudhishthira's lamentation for having killed so many soldiers on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Maharaj Yudhishthira, he went to see the scene of massacre. When he saw that scene, there was Bhishma Deva who's lying on the bed of arrows, about to pass away. Some days had passed after the battle was over. Yudhishthira had been installed on the throne because they won, right? Pandavas won. By Krishna's arrangement, the Pandavas all visit Bhishma Deva on their royal attire, riding upon the royal chariots. This was exactly what Bhishma Deva wanted all along. He wanted Yudhishthira to become the king. Now that aspiration has been fulfilled, and Bhishma Deva was very, very contented, meaning very, very satisfied. Despite this terrible, painful condition that grandfather Bhishma Deva was in, Krishna's plan was to pacify and enthuse him. And then the passing away of such great hero and warrior attracted the attention of all the contemporary elites. All of them assembled there to show their feelings of love, respect, and affection for the grandfather Bhishma. Imagine the situation where Bhishma, he's in the bed of arrows, and we see Krishna himself coming personally to attend on to Bhishma Deva. See, we all are asked to remember Krishna during the time of death. And for us to remember him during our death time, we have to remember constantly, because we don't know when death is going to come to us. And here we are seeing Bhishma Deva is so fortunate that Lord Krishna was there by his side when he was going to leave this world. Who can be more fortunate than him, right? Despite seeming discrepancies in his character, Krishna accepted grandfather Bhishma as a wonderful and deeply devoted devotee. He was a great devotee of the Lord. And Krishna wanted to demonstrate that grandfather Bhishma and to the world his love and affection for him. He wanted to demonstrate to the whole world, look at how much love I have for Bhishma Dev. As it is willed by Lord Krishna, Bhishma Deva will impart the instructions to King Yudhishthira on the subject of auspicious duties, occupational duties, sorry. Bhishma Deva could have easily instructed Yudhishthira without the presence of Krishna. However, Krishna preferred his devotee, Bhishma Deva, to do this in his presence, thus directly honoring him. Of course, Bhishma Deva could have done this instruction to Yudhishthira even without Krishna being there personally. But Bhishma Deva, he was able to give instructions to Yudhishthira in the presence of Lord Krishna, right? And this showed that Krishna wanted to honor his devotee, Yudhishthira. Bhishma Deva will also offer his last prayer to the Lord on the verge of passing away from his mortal world, and thus become liberated from bondage of further material engagements. To satisfy the desire of his great devotee, Bhishma Deva, Krishna had personally come there. So why did Krishna come there? It was to honor. It was to honor who? It was to honor his devotee, Bhishma Deva. He had personally come to this situation to personally witness Bhishma Deva speaking to Yudhishthira, right? This was what was the glory of a devotee. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go to the 34th verse from Bhishma's prayers, okay? So we need to understand about Bhishma's prayers, and so we will go and see what does this 34th verse mean, okay?
Mataji, you're muted.
Yeah.
Mataji, you're muted.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So what happened in the last class, Padmasiki Mataji, and before that we had Vrinda Mataji going over this prayers with you. And now in today's section, we are going to see 3 verses like you all saw from last past few classes, okay? So the 34th verse, what does it say? So Srila Prabhupada here says, it is all taken from the purport, okay? The Lord is the absolute form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, right? As such, transcendental loving service to the Lord is done in one of the 5 principal relationships. So when we go to the spiritual world, what happens to us? We have relationship with Krishna, and this relationship with Krishna can happen in 5 of the principal relations, right? 5 principal rasas. What are they? One is Shanta, another is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So Santa means neutrality. Okay, there is it's just a neutral type of relationship. Dasya, we all know it's dasanu das, where we are in the servitor mood serving the Lord. And Sakya is friendship. Vatsalya is parental mood, like how Nanda Maharaj and Yashodama are showing. their love and Madhurya is gopis, right? And Sakya relationship is Sridama, all that is Sakya, Sudama, Siddhama, all those Madhumangal, that relationships he has with the Gopas is Sakya. And Sri Bhishma Deva, he is a great devotee of the Lord in relation of Dasya. He is exhibiting which mood? He is exhibiting the mood of servitorship. One of the 5 principal relationships is what we will have with Krishna. So you could be a Madhurya person or you could be a Sakya person. Vatsal, we don't know what is that relationship, right? Till that dirt in the heart goes away, till the Anartha Nivritti process is done, we are not yet sure of what type of relationship we are with Lord Krishna. So we sincerely pray and hope that one day our constitutional position is revealed to us. But here we see in this story that Bhishma Deva, he is exhibiting the mood of servitorship. Okay, thus he is throwing of sharp arrows at the transcendental of the body of the Lord is as good as worshipping of another devotee who's throwing soft roses upon him. So even though sharp arrows are thrown upon the body of the Lord by a devotee, Lord, what does he feel? He feels as if soft roses are thrown upon him. That is how the Lord feels. Okay, and he knows the mood of a devotee, right? And here we know Bhishma Dev is exhibiting.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. 1 second, Mataji.
Yeah.
1 second. Krish, are you playing with the real knife? Is that a real knife? You are playing with a knife?
No, it's fake.
It's fake. Can you just keep it aside? It's not safe to play like that in the class. Thank you.
Okay.
Please continue, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so then what happens? It appears that Bhishma Deva is repenting the actions he committed against the person of that Lord. So when he was throwing arrows, he has to throw arrows, right? And that was the thing. And he has to fight on the side of Kauravas. This Krishna was on the side of Pandavas, even though he was not involved. Accidentally, arrows may come and hit upon Lord Krishna. He had to throw arrows upon Pandavas, and during that time, Krishna is also there. Right, and so he feels he's repenting for the action he has committed. Oh my God, I might have hurted Lord, but how does the Lord feel? The Lord feels as if soft roses are hitting upon him because it is coming from the devotee of the Lord. When Lord Vishnu in his incarnation appears before us, he seems to be like one of the conditioned souls, right? He's like a human being. He remains like a very, not everybody who sees Krishna will think him to be the Supreme Lord. He's just another ordinary person. That is what some people might think. Materially engaged, just to bewilder. Why does he do this? He's doing this just to bewilder the Asuras or non-believers who are always allowed to kill the Lord, even from the very beginning of his appearance. Kamsa, we all know, he wanted to kill Krishna. Ravana, how about him? He also wanted to kill Krishna, because foolishly they were unaware of the fact that Lord is never killed. For the spirit soul is never annihilated. Krishna, he has his body which is spiritual also. And here we have our body, and even this as spirit soul, we are not at all killed. And what about Krishna? Everything is spiritual. Right? How can he be killed? But the atheists and the foolish asuras, they want to kill Krishna. Even from the appearance of Lord Krishna, and as soon as he landed on into this material world, there was Kamsa who was planning how to kill Krishna, right? So this is the mentality of the atheists and asuras. Just to bewilder them, he is appearing like an ordinary human being, but in fact, he is not. All right. So Bhishma Deva appreciated the all-merciful attitude of the Lord because he did not leave Arjuna alone. Although he was disturbed by sharp arrows of Bhishma Deva, nor was he reluctant to come before Bhishma's deathbed, even though he was ill-treated by him on the battlefield. Bhishma's repentance and Lord's merciful attitude are uniquely shown here. So what happened? Bhishma Deva, he appreciated the all-merciful attributes of the Lord because he did not leave Arjuna alone. Right? Even though Bhishma Dev was pointing arrows at Arjuna, he did not leave Krishna. Oh, Krishna did not think, okay, Bhishma Dev was fiercely fighting. Let me go away. Let me escape this scenario. Like that, he did not leave Arjuna. Right? And he did not leave Bhishma also. though Bhishma was putting arrows at Pandavas and sometimes arrows used to hit upon Lord Krishna, he was that way ill-treated by Bhishma, we could say in one way. But then, did Krishna think about such an act of Bhishma and ignore to come to the deathbed of Bhishma? No, not at all. So that is why Lord is so merciful. He loves his devotees no matter what. He's ready to give. The devotees are more than me. That is what he says, right? In Gita, he says, devotees are more than me. I value them more than even myself. And this is what is seen. See, he did not, this is Lord's merciful nature, and Bhishma feeling so much repentance because he's thinking about what all had happened in the battlefield and he feels so bad at what had happened. This is the nature of a devotee, right? Now here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, what did he say? A great Acharya and a devotee in this point, he says, fighting as an exchange of transcendental pleasure between Lord and his pure devotee. It is not at all mundane. This is transcendental. Fighting that is happening, it's not between any Don, Dick and Harry. We are seeing this fighting is happening between who? Between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. Bhishma is a pure devotee of the Lord. So how transcendental it must be. It is not at all mundane. Besides, the sincere Lord's body, since the Lord's body and Lord are identical, there is no possibility of wounds in the absolute body. Unlike us, if arrows are hit upon us, blood will start oozing out. This will start, then we will start to bleed, and then we will see our skin, and then sometimes bones will also be seen. So this may happen, right, to us as a normal person. Body is supposed to wear and tear. It is supposed to undergo such kinds of transformations. But then, even when arrows hit upon Lord Krishna, there's no possibility of wounds. Why? Because his body is absolute. His body is spiritual. His body is transcendental. And that is the reason why. That is what our Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says through the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is also mentioned, the apparent wounds caused by the sharp arrows are misleading to the common man. But one who has little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in the chivalrous relationship. So somebody is wanting to fight and somebody is enjoying the fight. Who is enjoying the fight? The Lord is enjoying it. He is feeling when arrows are coming upon him from Bhishma Deva, he is feeling as if soft roses are hitting upon him. That's how much happy he is about that fact. And this is a very transcendental relationship. Ordinary people, they will not be able to understand. They will think as if two people are fiercely fighting the battle, trying to cause harm to one another. But in fact, a transcendental exchange is happening where Lord is actually very pleased by the act of Bhishma Dev.
Mataji?
Yes, dear. Kavya?
Mataji, why is Krishna bleeding even though he's the Supreme Personality of God?
No, he's not at all bleeding. No wounds can come upon him. That is what is mentioned in the purport of, see, there is no possibility of wounds on the absolute truth. I'm talking about a person who's mundane person, ordinary person like us, you and me, where when arrows are hit upon us, blood will start to come out. But it is not like that for Krishna. There is no possibility of wounds for him. Blood will never come out of him. His body is Sachitananda, spiritual body. There is no possibility of anything happening to Lord Krishna. Okay, dear Kavya?
Okay, Mataji.
Okay, good question. Good attentive listening. That's very important.
Mataji?
Yes, dear Mukund.
Another example for that is when Lord Nityananda got hit by Madhai throwing that pot on his head.
Yes, yes.
Just for sure, but he didn't actually get any bleeding or wounds.
Correct. That is how we can recognize who's transcendental and who's not, who's coming from the spiritual world and who's not. So, sometimes we may think, but an ordinary person, he may think, oh, this person is ordinary, so we can just try to rip him off, we can just hit him off, he'll wear off, he'll tear off, we can have, we'll just do things, then this person will start to cry or be fearful. But nothing can happen. Even Lord devotees doesn't fear, right? We see Prahlad Maharaj, he never fears. So much trouble and tribulations he was put through, but he never feared upon anything. So this is what is the case with devotees. What to speak of Lord Krishna? Okay, so now we have completed 34th verse. Okay, so what we are going to do is going to do a recap. I will have you raise your hands so you can talk about what you learned from the purport. Okay, so now is the chance for you to express yourselves as to what we have learned from the 34th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, first canto, 9th chapter. Okay, sounds good. So let's just have you all raise your hands and then I'll ask you questions.
Mataji, my brother is using the home computer and I'm using my Chromebook, so there's no raise hand option here.
Oh, no problem, Ramchandra. Then you can just let me know. I'll just call you also. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Ramchandra, your question. You can share your realization now.
Okay. Oh, I have to say what I learned from the verse?
Yes.
Okay.
From the 34th verse, what was the essential points? Like I walked you through certain things, right? And what were some things? The first thing that I told was about Bhishma Deva hitting arrows upon Krishna, where Krishna actually felt as roses are hitting upon him, like that.
Okay, Mataji. So, what I learned from this verse is that Krishna's his body is all transcendental, no one can hurt him, and that he's the Supreme Lord. So that not like arrows from, you said that arrows from the devotees are like roses hitting him, and
Correct.
that's barely anything. But to
That's good enough, dear. We'll have others also say. Okay, who's Mukund?
Yes, Mataji. My realization from this verse is that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is such as Ananda. He does not have any sufferings in his he does not have any sufferings, and that's why when Bhishma Dev was shooting arrows, instead of getting wounds and real blood, he was only he was just for show putting blood as if it was hurting like an ordinary person, but he was feeling that they because it was a pure devotee and Lord, so he was feeling that Bhishma Deva was throwing soft roses at him.
Yeah, there's no question of blood or anything. Okay, what I told was he appeared as a human form just to bewilder others, the non-devotees and the atheists who may think him to be an ordinary person, but in fact he's not. And he's not revealed to everybody, right? He's from the very day Kamsa wanted to always kill him. From the day of his appearance, Kamsa always wanted to kill him. But I didn't talk anything about the blood. What I told about the blood was meant for us as normal human beings. We tend to have all that, but Krishna, he doesn't. Okay, just want to make it clear.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, dear. Anybody else wants to share any other points or realizations? Okay, I think we covered it all, right? Just want to, so what did Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura say? It is a transcendental exchange that was happening between pure devotee of the Lord and Krishna. Okay, that was something that we missed out, but other than that, we covered everything. So through this, we are able to see Lord's merciful attitude, right? Even he did not think about the fact, oh, Bhishma Dev was sitting arrows upon me, so I'm not going to go and see him in the deathbed. No, he never thought like that. He was so merciful. He understood Bhishma Dev to be a pure devotee, and Lord will do anything for a devotee. That was the mood that that this particular purport is exhibiting. Now coming to the 35th verse. Okay, so today all of you all have a very nice, I would say, nice continuation from our moral story also. Okay, we left off with Haridas Thakur's pastime and we are going to continue and complete that particular moral story. Okay, looking forward to that. Even I'm excited to teach you that. All right, so 35th verse. What about the 35th verse? It is saying, in obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Krishna, he entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. right? When he looked at, I mean, you know that Kauravas are going to die, and we all know their lifespan is going to be reduced. This was done simply by looking at the enemy. Just let my mind be fixed upon you. It is Bhishma Deva's prayers, right? So he's praying to the Lord. Let my mind be focused upon you, upon that Lord who glanced upon the Kauravas. And by the fact of you glancing, we know that their lifespans are going to be reduced. So I want to meditate on that object of love, and I want to have you in my mind fixed upon you, O Lord Krishna. This is the meditation of Bhishma Dev. And here now we are seeing from Bhagavad Gita verses 1.21 to 25. What is the purport? Arjuna ordered the infallible Lord Krishna to place his chariot between the flanks of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished absorbing the enemies he had to face in the battle. So what did Arjuna ask Krishna to do? Hey Krishna, I want you to actually stop this particular chariot where so it's in the middle, so that I can be able to see both the armies that I'm going to fight with in the battle. This is what I want you to do. And after this only Arjuna's confusion started. Once he started to look upon who he is going to fight with, then his mind started to reel, his Gandhiva bhav began to slip. He was not in a position to fight after that particular incident had happened, right? When Lord was so asked, he did at once, just like an order carrier. Imagine he's the supreme Lord, but he was ready to obey to the orders of Arjuna, being a charioteer. And the Lord pointed out that all important men on the opposite side, saying, here is Bhishma, here is Drona, and so on. The Lord, being the supreme entity, living being, is never an order supplier or order carrier for anyone, whoever he may be, but out of his costless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of devotees like an awaiting servant, or like how a servant, he will fold his hands and he will look for what his master has to say for him so that he can execute the orders of the master. Like that, here Krishna, he's the supreme Lord, and this supreme Lord is behaving like an order carrier to Arjuna. That is only because of his costless mercy. Okay, and by executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes very, very pleased. Like how a father, he will be so pleased to carry out the order of the small child, right? Daddy, I want to get into a car and go for a ride, and I want to enjoy playing in the snow. And daddy will say, okay, no problem. I'll have you play in the snow. So you can build a snowman, you can build a lot of castles, or in the mud or sand, you can build sand castles. I let you do whatever you want. I can fulfill whatever you have in your heart, dear. Ask me, your wish will be fulfilled. That is what a father will say. Likewise, Krishna, he was actually behaving like how a father would execute the orders of a child. Like that, Krishna was executing the orders of Arjuna. This is only possible out of pure transcendental love between Lord and his devotees. And Bhishma Dev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as a friend of Arjuna. Whenever we relate Lord to the pure devotee, Lord feels so happy because his devotee's name comes into picture. He feels so happy whenever we relate him to the devotee of Lord, right? Yashoda Nandana Krishna. Like that, if we when we address him using the name Yashoda, then he becomes so elated. Oh, he's addressing me, helping me remember my mom, Yashoda. Yeah, sure. What do you want of me? What do you want from me? Krishna will eagerly look upon you to hear from you because you've addressed him with this pure devotee's name. So that is how powerful the pure devotee's names are. And here we see that Bhishma Deva is addressing Lord as a friend of Arjuna. Now, coming to the next slide. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battle of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of Arjuna's enemy does not mean he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Factually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they wouldn't have attained salvation by dying at home in the ordinary course of life. There was a chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from this material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does, it is apparently for our own good. If they had their own ordinary birth, what would happen to them? They have to be going through the cycle of karma. Depending on whatever punya they have done or pap they have, accordingly, they will have a destination in their future life. Because they were able to get a merciful glance of Krishna, they were all able to get salvation. So in a way, that even though they were in the opposite party, Lord actually did good for them. So how can you say the Lord is partial? The Lord is not partial at all. He is all good, and whatever he does is for everybody's good. This is the mentality of Lord Krishna, right? Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjuna, his intimate friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. Such are the transcendental. So apparently, it looks as if it was for the victory of Arjuna, but he was also merciful to the Kauravas by glancing at them. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord, and whoever understands this, they also get salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does not wrong in any circumstance because he is absolute. He is good at all times. This is the belief or faith we must have. This faith must be very strong in us, saying whatever Lord does is for our good, nothing but good. Okay, this is the conviction and faith we must all have as devotee, which is what is exhibited in the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, kids, time for questions and realizations. So what was the understanding of this 35th verse? Okay, any raised hands? Nobody?
Wait, Mataji, can I say?
Yes, Ramchand.
So what I like my realization?
Hmm.
My realization is that in one sentence, Krishna is very, very, very merciful. Not only did he just granted he made grandfather Bhishma attain salvation. He made the whole other Kurukshetra warriors also attain salvation. So he's very, very merciful.
Yeah, so whatever, yes, Mukund, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mataji, my realization from this verse is that Krishna is not partial because Krishna supports everyone, the Supreme Lord of everyone, so he's not partial. It looks like Lord Krishna supports Arjuna by killing all the soldiers and all the people in the other side, but he doesn't, because all the soldiers actually attain liberation after they die, because they take the darshan of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, yes. So that is how merciful Lord Krishna is, and he is so merciful. It may look as if he's only favoring Arjuna, but in fact he is favoring even the Kaurava army. Okay, thank you so much. And anybody else wants to share anything else?
Mataji, Krish has raised his hand.
Oh, Krish, go ahead, Krish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what I said, Krishna will support his devotees, but he's still merciful for everybody.
Yes.
Krishna will support his devotees the most, but he's still merciful for everybody.
Yes, dear. Wonderful realization. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the third verse for today. Okay. The last verse, after which we are going to see Haridas Thakur's pastime. Okay. So let's go to the third verse for today. And the verse is this one. Okay. 36th verse. What does it say? When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering him the transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain as my object of attraction. May I always surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. This is what I want. So Arjuna was in the mode of ignorance, right? He was completely bewildered. He put his Gandhiva bhav down because he was not in a position to fight when he looked at the set of people who he saw in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Krishna, he was the one who eradicated his ignorance by delivering him what? Transcendental knowledge. And Bhishma Deva is praying here that may that Lord be my object of attraction, right? The one who gave the transcendental knowledge to Lord, and one who gave the transcendental knowledge to Arjuna, may that Lord be my object of attraction. Okay, we just have 2 more slides. After that, Haridas Thakur is coming up. All right, so just 2 more. I see so many kids are here on the call, except Ramachandra and Mukund. I want anybody else to share their realization. Okay, so this time Ramachandra and Mukund are not going to go, but then I want others on the call to raise their hands up. Okay, all right. The king and the commanders were to stand in front of the field fighting soldiers. That was the actual fighting. King and the commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. They would not stay at home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be a regulation of modern democracy, but when actual monarchy was prevailing, monarchs were not cowards elected without consideration of qualification. So what is this purport trying to say? This purport is trying to say what happens these days. These days, if the ministers are asked to fight in the war, they won't come and do the actual fight. What will they do? They will send all their servants to go and fight in the war. But unlike that, today, unlike how it is today, those days, whoever was elected, even if he was the king, he is supposed to come and fight. That was the nature of the king. He will not sit in the house like a coward and ask all his ministers and servants to fight. He himself will come to the scenario and he will start fighting with everybody, just like how a normal soldier will act. King also has that qualification to fight with people. So he was not at all covered. That was what Srila Prabhupada is saying here. As it was evident from the battle of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both the parties, Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Duryodhana, they were not sleeping. They didn't ask all their people to go and fight. Okay, you all fight. I'm the leader of the army. I'm the commander-in-chief. I'm not fighting. You go and fight. They didn't say that. Everybody, irrespective of their positions, came to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. Nobody was sleeping like this. All of them, they were actual participants in fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from civil residential quarters. It was not happening at a place where there were houses, right? It happened at a place where there was no disturbance to any householders. We will not go in the middle of a householder, middle of the street and where the houses are there and go and start fighting the war. That was not happening. This was happening in a very private place. It was not happening. It was very much far away from the normal residential quarters. This means that the innocent citizens were immune from the effects of fighting between rival royal parties. The citizens had no business in seeing what was going on at such fighting. The citizens also, when it's happening in the middle of a street where the houses are situated, it will disturb the activities of the citizens or the householders. But this particular Kurukshetra war did not happen where the residential quarters were situated. It was happening at a place where they were completely far away from residential quarters, and also the citizens were not affected seeing the battle. Okay, they were not even sure what's going on in the battle, what's happening, who's dying, who's not, who's winning. Nothing was revealed to them, or nothing bothered them, so as to speak. They were doing their occupational duties, so as to speak, and performing whatever spiritual activities that they need to do. Okay, the last section for today. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether be it Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties on the battle of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was not going to kill his kinsmen on the battlefield for the sake of the empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military flanks presented by Duryodhana, but as a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural to him. So I don't want all this royal throne or anything. Whatever that comes out of this battle, I'm not in need of any of them. I cannot fight my relatives because I'm compassionate towards them. I cannot kill my own relatives just for the sake of this kingdom. You want me to kill my relatives? Is that what you're asking me to do? I cannot do that. I'm not in a position to do it because I really don't want the kingdom. I'm not up for this worldly possessions. This was the mentality of Arjuna. But this was due to his poor fund of knowledge. And therefore, it is said here that his intelligence became polluted. That is, he came into the mode of ignorance. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time. We all know he's a constant companion of the Lord, but Krishna, he made him covered. Okay, he made him cover his intelligence. Again, that is for us to learn Bhagavad Gita, and that is for us to understand Bhagavad Gita. He made Arjuna like that. Otherwise, he is a devotee and a constant companion in Sakyaras. What is the relationship that the Lord exhibited towards Krishna? It is the friendship, right? It is Sakya, and that is the Bhishma Deva is meditating. I want this Krishna, this particular Krishna, who's the friend of Arjuna, to be an object of attraction for me. Nothing more than that. That is what I want. So, in the first verse, we saw about how merciful Lord Krishna was, right? Even though arrows were thrown at him, he actually felt it to be roses coming from the devotee. He did not feel the pain of the arrows. There was no possibility of wounds from him because his body is Satchitananda. His body is not going to be affected, right? His body is completely spiritual, and because of which nothing can happen to Lord Krishna. And some people, they may think Krishna to be an ordinary human being. And from the time of appearance, some people like Kamsa, they always want to kill Krishna, thinking him to be an ordinary person, right? We also saw in the case of Ravana, he wanted to kill Rama, not knowing he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The second purport we saw there, the importance was stressed on. What was the second purport understanding? It is said that, okay, so now Krishna, he doesn't differentiate between anybody. He does treat both the armies without any partiality. So through his glance, he is able to reduce the lifetime of the Kauravas, but that again is meant for giving salvation to them. That is what is the understanding. Just like how a small boy will carry out, just like how a father will carry out the orders of a small boy, his child, that is how Krishna was like an order carrier for Arjuna. And Lord is saying, I want this particular, Bhishma Deva is saying, I want this particular Lord to be my object of attraction. Coming to the last purport, I want you to share your realizations. Okay, except Mukund and, okay, I do have some raised hands. I'm going to call you all one by one. Okay, Garima, go ahead, dear. Very happy to see you here.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, I don't have a realization, but I was asking a question.
Sure.
That how big was Kurukshetra?
What is it?
I was saying that I don't have a
Question.
realization.
What is about Kurukshetra?
How big is Kurukshetra?
Oh, how big is Kurukshetra? Kurukshetra must be big. See, what is being described here is that it is away from the residential quarters. Okay, they had so many Akshohinis, right? 11 Akshohinis.
It's like this big battlefield. It's like a big battlefield.
See, imagine there are thousands of elephants, thousands of soldiers, so much. So that is why they moved away from the residential quarters. Otherwise, it will cause disturbance and chaos to the people who are living in the city, right? And that is why they went far away to a place where there are no inhabitants. This place is exclusively meant for the battle. And it is a big place, definitely very, very big. It has to support a lot of armies, lot of elephants, lot of chariots like that.
Okay.
And the Lord who's like a billion feet tall and a billion.
No, let's not give some numbers here.
Infinity feet tall and infinity feet wide.
Okay. Any other question, Garima?
I think I have something to say.
Okay.
That when Bhishma said that I want this Supreme Lord to be my like what he said something about
My
this, right?
object of attraction.
Yeah, to be my object of attraction. So I felt like
Mhm.
he's so qualified and like he knows so much and then
Mm.
and then he loves Krishna so much.
Correct. Of course, dear. Of course. Very good analyzing. Good job, Karima. Krish, go ahead and share your realization, dear.
So what I said is, so what I think is that, I think that rulers in the olden days are not as, are like, are more daring than rulers these days.
Yeah, it's the qualification.
They're more
These,
daring.
yeah, they are daring, and that's how people are elected when they are chosen as a king. A king is tested for his knowledge in the military science.
Like Arjuna, would fight for every battle that he has.
Yeah, he would not shy away and say, I'm the leader, I'm not going to fight. Unlike today's leader, they don't want to fight. They'll just go and sleep on their couch and wait for people. Oh, yeah, you guys fight. And if you fight and win the battle, it is equal to me winning the battle.
I don't, you guys fight.
Yeah.
You guys are meant to fight. I don't need to fight.
Correct. I know you guys are eating all beautiful dinners. I see Mukund eating his dinner. Oh, no problem, Mukund. We are all watching your prasadam, so no worries. I was just not trying to embarrass you or anything. But anyways, good that you're having your dinner at the right time. And now, Isha, what is your thing, dear? I missed you.
The difference is by now and then is they had ruts that time, and now we have tanks.
We have tanks?
Yeah.
Better.
Bombs.
Oh, bombs. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyways, no worries. Thank you so much, Isha. And we will go to Haridas Thakur's presentation now. Are you all excited?
Yes, Mataji.
I'm also excited equally like you. Really, really looking forward. Yeah, I got it. Let me open it. I also didn't read anything more than what I read. So I'm equally as excited as you are all. Haribol, are you able to? 1 second, let me share my screen. Okay, so let me see. 25th, I think, right?
Yes, Mataji, I can see it.
Ah, okay, good.
Me too, Mataji. I could see it.
Oh, good.
Same, Mataji. I can see it.
Ah, good, Krish. Okay, so what happened with Haridas Thakur is that he was dragged by centenaries from one marketplace. Remember the point where we talked about him? He was a Muslim by birth, and so everybody, the chant Kasi, the minister, was asking him to chant the names of Allah so that he would leave him. But then he says, even if my body is cut into pieces, I'm not going to leave chanting the holy names of the Lord. Haridas Thakur, he was dragged by the centuries from one market. Imagine, he was being like thoroughly pushed, dragged. They beat him mercilessly. Their black hearts were consumed by the hate for the pure devotee of the Lord. It's very, very pitiable, right? He was dragged from one marketplace to another. He was beaten up mercilessly. And even then, he was not ready to give up his chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That is what is the understanding. By Lord Krishna's grace, what happened? Haridas Thakur did not feel any pain, just like Prahlad Maharaj, who was tortured by the demons. So much absorption in Lord Krishna that he was not able to realize the pain that was tormented upon his body. He realized perfectly he was not the body, so no pain was inflicted upon him. Haridas Thakur kept chanting the holy names of the Lord in complete surrender, but nothing could stop the insensitive and animalistic centuries. Good-hearted and pious men could not bear to see the torture. They begged, "Oh, please, we will give you anything, but please stop this merciless beating." How can good people tolerate seeing Haridas Thakur beaten up and being dragged to so many marketplaces? Who can tolerate this? Anybody who's not,
especially a good devotee.
Yeah, especially the devotees who are so caring about Haridas Thakur, they cannot see him being tormented. Even a normal human being, even him, if he's just having some good piety in him, he cannot tolerate like one person being beaten up and being dragged, right? Even if we don't know the person, if we see some person brutally hitting another person, would we be happy about it? We will definitely feel bad for that person because our hearts are compassionate. So this is what is going on with him. The episode of Haridas Thakur is a replication of the heroic activities of Hanuman. When Ravana's son Indrajit unleashed the Brahmastra, Hanuman could have escaped it, but to respect the potency of Lord Brahma, he allowed it to be bound by Brahmastra. So he could have just obviously escaped that Brahmastra, but in order to give respects to it, he allowed him to be bound himself by that Brahmastra.
Mataji, I know Hanuman is Chiranjeevi, but like I still don't understand why he didn't die when he was hit by the
No,
Brahmastra.
no. He was actually, when he Hanuman was actually given a boon from Brahma that he will not be affected by his weapons or by
Yeah.
somebody. Because
Yeah, it was somebody, but like it's I can't remember that all the time.
Yeah, that's what Ramachandra is pointing out, that he got that boon because of which he will never die. Anyways, that's not the story. That's just for comparison purposes. We will go back. We have 20 more pages, okay? And we have only 5 minutes. Similarly, Haridas Thakur could have escaped the beatings, but by allowing himself to be tortured, he taught us that lesson that despite extreme miseries of life, one should never stop chanting the holy names of the Lord. We should never stop chanting. That is what is the lesson that we have to learn through this pastime. Srila Haridas Thakur, by the mercy of Krishna, he did not feel any pain. By compassionately looking at the centuries and prayed, he prayed to Krishna. What did he pray for Krishna? Oh Krishna, please be merciful upon these poor souls, so they may not be punished because of me. Because they have tortured me, they should not be punished. Please Krishna, give me that benediction. This is how merciful he was. Even if people are torturing him, he don't want them to be tortured, right? That is how merciful Haridas Thakur was. At last, the gods got tired and stopped in amazement. So because he was not at all affected, if somebody is going on hitting him, and if this person is not at all reacting, and if this person is instead getting happiness, then what will these people who are whipping will think? This is some kind of amazement. We can't do anything about it, and they just left him up. The guard said, how can a human being survive such brutal beatings? Any ordinary man would have died by now, but he shows no sign of pain or death. He looks up and smiles at us. He must surely be a great saint. Anybody who, see this person, we have tortured him so much, we have bet him like anything, crazily we have bet him, but this person is not at all showing any signs of him dying, or there's no pain. He doesn't say who, he, all that. He doesn't even say any of those. So this person is definitely a saint. The guards pleaded, oh Haridas, because of you we will certainly be punished. When the Kasi sees that despite our beatings you are still alive, he will kill us. Haridas replied, if my survival such terrible misfortune to you, it brings terrible misfortune to you, then I shall give up my body. See how I die. So he's just going to die for the sake of these people, okay? Because these people are worried about Chand Kasi. Chand Kasi will definitely punish us because we are trying to beat you, but still you are alive. What can we do about the situation? And Kasi is going to beat us if you are alive, and he will even kill us. That is how this person can be. And Haridas Thakur immediately fell into the trance. A pure devotee of the Lord possesses all mystical powers. So without hesitation, he fell lifeless without any trace of breath. The sentries brought the dead body to the Nawab. Qazi said, although getting a high birth of Muslim, he behaved like a low caste Hindu. Therefore, it is best to throw him in Ganges. So this person, he was born in a Muslim family, which is such an elevated caste. But what happened to him? he behaved like a low caste Hindu, and therefore we can just throw him in the Ganges. This is what we must do up to him, to this body. Haridas Thakur was brought to the Ganges. Haridas remained in the deathly trance, meditating on the Lord. He became extremely heavy. It required the strongest of the centenaries to push him in the water. So he was in the trance, okay? He was not dead or anything, but he was just in the trance. Haridas Thakur floated down on the Ganges, but drowned in the ocean of love of God. In that trance, he had no conception of body. He did not know which part of the universe he was in. This capability was amazing, as his heart was the permanent residence of Gaurachandra. So he was just floating in the Ganges, absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord, absorbed in the ocean of the love of God. And he did not know where he was, which universe he was in. And his heart, the Gauranga Mahaprabhu had taken the permanent residence on his heart. And that is why we need to clean our heart. If our hearts are unclean, how can Gaurachandra enter into our hearts? It's not possible. Haridas floated down the stream on the currents of Ganges. As Haridas was protected by the Lord, who could harm him? After some time, he woke up and, overwhelmed with ecstasy, swam across the Ganges and proceeded towards Kuliagram. Okay, so this is what, I mean, once his trance was over, he walked and made sure to go to Puliagram. He loudly chanted as he walked. When the Muslims saw him, they were astonished, as well convinced that he was a great saint. They offered him obeisances. Haridas Thakur appeared in front of Nawab and smiled compassionately at him. The Nawab ruler bowed respectfully with the folded hands. See, this Nawab said, I can understand, you are a truly saintly person. You have realized the absolute truth. You have seen Allah in everyone. Please forgive all my offense, because you see Lord in everyone. You have no friends or no enemies. Please be merciful on sinful people like us. This is what I pray of you, Haridas Thakur. So the remaining portion we can see in the next class. Dear kids, I'm so sorry. We have another class, Madhava class, that is coming up next. And hence we have to leave room for those kids to come in and enter the session. So today's class, we will stop here and we will continue from where we left off. And also I will pick up another beautiful moral story for us to learn and imbibe. This is a beautiful story from Srila Haridas Thakur, where we are seeing how transcendental person he was, how he was absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Krishna all the time, and how Gaurachandra took residence of the heart, residence in the heart of Haridas Thakur. This is very, very nice to understand and listen and observe, right? So this is such a beautiful pastime, I thought. We can continue in the next session without rushing through and carefully meditating upon the story as well. So what we can do is prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna kids. Thank you so much
Hare
for your
Krishna
time.
Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki jai. Proceed the call, dear devotees. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.